Alright everyone, welcome back to the second stream of the Intel Extreme Masters in Taipei. Day 2, group stage play it is. Sorry that break took quite a while, as much as we would love to sit here and just chit chat all along until the next series start. It's just not really worth it. There's a main stream going on as well. You guys can get images from that event. Those games are still going on. I hope you guys all have both streams open or at least switch over to the main stream for a bit. As that Hero vs Polt series was pretty damn cool. Nate,
Yeah.
I really thought Polt had it. And then he lost it.
I'm not gonna lie, man. Okay, so it was weird because
That fight you kind of thought.
I said that Polt was gonna lose early on.
Yes.
He did end up losing, but
That's right.
not for the reason why I thought he would. The DTs were real. That's just one of those situations where as a Terran player, like that just shows how good Polt is. Despite the fact that he didn't win the game, that was more so him throwing the engagements later on than any other mistake of his. Like 99% of Terrans, I'm pretty sure, just die when that happens. The DTs, there's one parked in your base, one parked at the bottom of your main.
And you have 0 turrets up.
You have no turrets. He's got one killing SCVs in your natural, in your main, and
there's already one hiding that's going to run in as soon as the first scan expires. It could have been, indeed been a lot more deadly. Anyways, good news for all the Terran fans out there that at least there's going to be a Terran game on this stream, and that makes Nate very happy because yesterday we
didn't do any Terran?
No, we went 7 best of 3s without a Terran, and now the first one was without a Terran. And I was already singing when Polt, it looked like Polt was going to win for a bit. I was like, Nate's going to get no Terran, Nate's going to get no Terran, but then he got a Terran. Anyways, I think this is going to be a cool series. Sen versus Polt. Definitely two titans in the foreign scene. Polt, a previous GSL champion. Sen, Taiwanese esports open champion and champion of many other things, especially of a lot of bronze medals.
Kev.
Yeah.
Okay, man, that is true. Okay, Kev. Polt, I feel like, and from what I've been hearing from speaking to a couple of pro gamers in the last
He's
few
legendary
weeks,
in Hearthstone.
Yes, he's legendary in Hearthstone, and that is, actually, great reference, is inversely proportional to what people believe his skill to be right now.
Not legendary?
Yes, in StarCraft. Some people,
but he's still legendary.
He's good. Polt's still. I mean, I'm not gonna say Polt's bad. I'm just wondering how this series goes because normally any day of the week, I would strongly favor Polt over Sen.
Yep.
This month, from what I've seen, from the games I've seen, from what I've heard, especially in TvZ, this is actually a matchup that's starting to look like Sen could win.
But why would Polt travel all the way to Chinese Taipei from Atlanta if he's not in shape, if he's not feeling like he can win this tournament? That doesn't feel right to me. Polt is too experienced, too much of a veteran, has won too much money in his life to be going to a tournament where he would feel that he wouldn't do well.
Maybe he's just not playing well. I mean, maybe this is just maybe the games against Hero were a bit deceiving. It was weird because Polt managed to.
He put up a good fight.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, Polt succeeded in the most difficult part, and then the part where he should have started rolling again is where he completely fell apart, and that's why I don't know what to make of his match against Hero. Because the last time we saw Polt play was, at least that I can recall, was not including the series against Semper and Challenger, but he played versus Kane where he got Shrek'd. The last Zerg I saw him play.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, he got Shrek'd is a big word. Kane threw him off a little bit in Game 3 with an interesting playstyle on Merry-Go-Round, a map that we are not playing at anymore. But Polt did qualify in the end. Like, it only took him 3 chances.
I do like the maps for Terran against Zerg. Most of these new maps. So.
Anyways, we are loaded in. And
loser of this match is eliminated, by the way.
Yeah, actually, this is a really big match. This is the first, well, yesterday, I guess, open bracket people get eliminated as well. But this would be the first player from the main tournament to be eliminated. Of course, we have 16 players left. One of them is going to be an Intel Extreme Masters champion. One of them may have already been an Intel Extreme Masters champion. Polt has never won an IEM. Came really close in Cologne last year, the first IEM of the year. Maybe that's why he went. He's like, hey, last year, first IEM I went to, made it to the final. This year I'm going to do the same thing all over again.
Well, I mean, if you win the qualifier and you get a paid trip, why not go, Kev?
True, but I still feel like Polt, as rich as he is, as experienced as he is, Polt doesn't strike me as the type of guy who goes to tournaments without practicing for them. Like, I'm not saying that he always thinks he's going to win, but we know how confident he is in his own late game abilities and stuff.
I want to believe, Kev. Let's see what he's got in store for us this game.
I want to go ahead and introduce the players. I'm very keen on this today. I should drop this.
Dude, Flo has cursed you, man.
Flo has cursed me. Flo has broke me, Nate.
We delayed the introductions too long. And
yes, and now it's stuck in myself, and I'm like delaying it while I actually just want to throw it out there. Over here on the right top side of the map, we have Sen. hailing from Taiwan.
Is he totally teamless now? He does not. He's not wearing any tag. I remember when he used to be on Gamma
The
Bears.
Gamma Bears, that is correct.
Yeah.
Maybe he is teamless. I think he's been hopping around a little, but I think right now he's definitely not part of any of the mainstream teams. Over here on the left bottom side of the map, we have our player that's representing Cooler Master Storm. It is Polt, spawning as the Blue Terran.
First.
Ah, yes.
Oh, Hong Kong attitude.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Well,
I actually do remember hearing about that, but
like we said, not
it's been
very
a while.
mainstream.
we haven't seen him. I haven't seen him play recently enough to just remember that without him having the tag on.
And I would love to tell you guys that I'm an insider when it comes to the Hong Kong attitude, but that is,
Well,
yeah.
you know,
Kind of dropped the ball on that one, Nate.
It's their secret training regimens. It's very difficult to follow those guys.
I saw a game of Polt cross map on this map. Was that against Jadong?
Yeah, we went mech and got wrecked.
Yeah. And it actually looked promising, and then they had a fight over here, and then he lost everything to a couple of banelings. What was that game? When did we catch that?
It was at San Jose.
Really?
Yeah, I remember watching it. I was just like, what is going on? I was watching that game
is
at like
correct.
4 in the morning in Sweden. I was like, I stayed up all night. I stayed up all night to watch this game, and then Polt got wrecked. And I was like, damn it.
Or was it Revive or Jadong? No, it was Jadong, right?
Yeah, it was Jadong. I was like, damn it. I was upset because I knew Jadong wasn't going to win the thing, but I was like, maybe Polt could have. Because Terran was supposed to be OP back then.
They kind of were. Anyways, there's going to be a command center first for Polt. He's going to follow it up with the barracks. We'll see if he goes back to that crazy, silly build that he displayed back then. What was it? It was like Hellbat, Banshee, Tor, and a lot of unstimmed Marines.
Well, that's pretty.
It was a weird build.
Yeah, that kind of push is cool because there were a few players that really pushed the limit on the whole how much can you really do with Banshees thing. And 4GG was without a doubt one of the biggest pushers of this because you could deal with roaches when you got up to like 4 or 5 Banshees, and then because you had enough to deal with like roaches, at least somewhat, you would just go straight Thors to deal with any possible mutas. And then because you went for Thors and not tanks, you could actually push without dying to mutas before swarm hosts were out. And that's the whole point of that push. But this game, it's nothing too insane.
I mean, it's a very economic opening over here by
Yeah.
Polt. He really didn't waste any time to get that factory up. That is a ridiculously quick factory for a command center first. It's like 4 minutes and 40 seconds, and it's already there, you know. And he had a CC first as opening. That's
he's just
pretty much insane.
He's just grinding it out. He's just balling out right now. I can't say I disagree with it. The second supply depot is leading me to believe that as the factory completes, maybe we're gonna see some. He either doesn't want to get
I think
supply
just
blocks
the
for the
Hellions.
Hellions, or he
Yeah.
wants to get a starport to follow this up.
I kind of think it's just going to be
Because the thing
Hellions.
is, if you want to go 3 command centers, you delay the second depot, start the command center, then the depot, and then you're slightly delayed on the Hellions. But now he starts another depot, so it's definitely going to be a starport. Even okay, second gas is the tell there.
But he's still going to open up with Hellions.
Yeah, of course. The idea is that when you play 3CC, your Hellions are delayed by about 15 or so seconds because you get supply blocked because you want to get the command center before your second depot.
I see, Nate. I see.
See what happens when there's not Zergs or Protoss? Only Protoss or Zerg. I can actually...
Dropping knowledge bombs!
My input is useful, Rotterdam.
It always is, Nate. It's your sense of humor that really gets me going.
Thanks, Kev. Well, I could also talk about roach upgrades for days. I think I've spent more time researching roach upgrades than any other human being alive, except maybe Hyun. He wrote the book on roaches.
He created the roach. Nobody knows, but it wasn't David Kim, it was actually Hyun. He's like, hey, you know what you should do? You should really, like, it was like he was talking an idea into someone's mind. How do you call that? If you're like, it's like a strategy, you know, you make them believe that it was their idea, but actually it's your idea.
I'm pretty sure that's what the whole movie Inception was about.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like you make them believe that it's their idea, but actually it's your idea. It's like, you should create this unit.
That's also...
That cost 75 million,
That's like
25 again.
that's also known as Jedi mind tricking
Yeah.
in the Oxford Dictionary.
No, that was kind of the word I was looking for, or the term, I guess. Jedi mind tricking this. 37 SUVs for Polt against the 39 drones from Sen. 9 more drones on the way. Sen is also going ballistic on his economy. Really didn't sacrifice anything. Of course, we have the Polt Viking. It's always nice, just in case you guys weren't sure if you were watching Polt. If somehow the resolution on your TV is messed up and you're like, man, I really want to know who's playing, but I can't see the name tags on the top of the screen. Don't you worry, it's Polt. Everybody knows now.
Well, to be fair, Polt, a few other Terran players have started to adopt this.
Yeah, of course.
Usually they get the Banshee first, though. They still get the Banshee first if they're going to go for a starport. Polt However, if you want to follow the things that make Polt Polt, I am surprised, Roddy, because Polt did not build more than 6 Hellions this game. He usually builds like...
Two.
Oh, he's starting more now! Okay,
Yeah.
never mind. Alright, phew. He heard me say that like across the world. He's like, oh my god, Nathanius is right, I only built 6 Hellions, what's going on?
He said, don't you worry, child. There will be Hellions for you. That's the new remix.
I'm happy.
Swedish House Mafia is back.
You know, we talk about how a lot of the time Polt, and I like how, you know, Hellions, of course, being in the front are nice, the Vikings are nice, and these usually delay his upgrades and such. Polt is even going for an armory to follow this up. And this really worries me, because his upgrades are going to be
Oh, the Polt
absurdly big.
Viking! No! You definitely don't want to lose it like that for absolutely
What if
no
this is
reason.
just bait? Oh!
Oh.
Oh! But,
It's like, sup?
yep. Dead Overlord, though. So the tricky part is, Polt needs
tricky
to...
part is-
Polt actually has to, like, cripple Sen with this push.
Yep.
I'm not saying he won't, because Sen doesn't have any banelings on the map, but... Actually, with no banelings even started yet, now I'm worried, because he's just building drones.
Yeah, he's actually not even respecting this push. He saw 2 medevacs head out. I'm sure he saw it. There's no way you don't see 2 medevacs. He's
Did
gonna
he
try
see
to
it or-
counterattack. Nah, yeah.
We always talk about this, Kev. Did he see it or did he see it? And the banelings
No.
he's building are
You
in
have
his...
to see
He's
it.
building them in his third.
I
but,
think it's just very,
Stim
very
is
confident.
done.
Yep.
So this drop, man, this is going to be tough. Even if he blows up
Oh,
on
the
the
Hellbats are actually doing a very good job in picking up a couple of the first banelings. 2 Hellbats did go down there
Yeah,
in
well-
the process, but they are going to do well in this fight.
Oh
And here
my.
is the Stim bio in the main base.
Yeah, this is a pretty cute little timing from Polt, and I think this
It's
is
more than little,
this-
mate.
Well, it should be little, but we talked about how Sen saw those medevacs and didn't build any banelings, so if you have a response ready, then I think it's so much easier.
That's actually a really
This
good
is-
positioning
this
as
is
well on
game
these
ending.
bio forces.
This is actually game ending, Ronnie.
Yeah,
the
I
amount of damage this is doing.
I think this hatchery is going to fall, Nate. A couple of drones are going to get picked off as well. These Zerglings need to engage his army now, but I think Polt is going to right-click on the hatch. He's going to pick it off and get the hell out of
He
there
can
with a
dance.
couple of
He
units.
can dance all day, man. There's not any banelings.
That was so unnecessary and so silly and sloppy by Sen. Like you
He
said-
saw the medevacs.
Yes.
That is not like he did. Polt did close to game-ending damage with that attack. Like Polt really needs to mess up. The only advantage Sen has is the upgrades, and I actually had to give him props for getting his 2-2 already on the way. But
well, if you don't make any units, then I guess.
yeah,
it's not
well,
good.
yeah, well, the next part I was gonna say is without the access to the gases in his main base, it's not like that Spire's gonna give him a whole lot. In fact, he won't be able to build even that many banelings since he's gonna get baneling speed too.
I think the only chance he has right now is run around with a silly amount of Zerglings and Banelings and try to force a couple of counterattacks, try to force Polt to come back. Of course,
Yeah.
if Polt is smart,
Well,
he's not going to come
the
back.
thing is, Kev, when you're behind in this matchup and upgrades as a Zerg, banelings are usually considered good because they don't really worry about the upgrades as much, but investing into the upgrades instead of units does make things tricky because Polt, while, yeah, he's behind in upgrades, if you don't have enough banelings, it doesn't really matter because the healing usually outdoes it.
Ah, that was just silly,
This
man.
is
I'm
this is
kinda
a tricky spot
disappointed.
to be in. Polt's gonna come in, he's gonna clean up some creep. Medevac's gonna land in the northeast side by the main base, and now Sen's basically got to split his forces. His forces are superior, but, or at least is superior in strength, but not in numbers.
I mean, 1-1 is about to finish up as well for Polt, so I wouldn't even go that far anymore. Baneling speed is not even ready yet as well, so he's going to have to pick this first fight without Baneling speed. He's at least going to force Polt to pick up all these units, but there's still that drop in the main base as well. Again, 5, 6, 7 drones being taken out. Man, good focus fight there as well. Gets 8 drone, and is still, I think, able to get out of here for now. He's trying to find the safety, and Marines are like, yeah, come over here, guys.
We got your back.
I heard you guys were behind enemy lines. How's it out there? And normally they say, man, it's terrifying. These guys said, you know what? It's actually not all that bad, man.
There's not a lot there.
Went to the forest, we shot at a couple of things, decided to hop into the medevac.
Knock some tin cans over.
Yeah, it was a bumpy ride, but you know what? I've seen worse things in my life as a Marine.
So 2-2 finishing up now for Sen.
Jeez.
Like that's the one thing about this game that it's like he's building 15 drones now too. He's like, I need to fix everything. Polt getting an early sensor tower.
This is where like Sen just hopes that Polt channels his inner Avilo and just so you know, like makes him mech transition and sits in the corner of the map.
Yeah, that's one way. That's probably his only chance.
Yeah, but then Sen is like, if he does that, if he just does not attack
If
me.
I stall this game out for 8.5 hours, maybe there's a way.
Widow Mines don't really get great connections, but it doesn't really matter. Polt's army is massive, Polt's army is superior. He's okay, you know, if he would somehow be able to intercept all these medevacs. He has 12 Mutalisk. It's something, Nate. There is a little bit of hope left for Sen, but he needs to absolutely crush this army from Polt now. He does still have that armor, that upgrade advantage, and this time it actually matters. And this time he has Baning speed as well, so there is a little bit of hope. Not too much though.
Yeah, these Banelings.
Okay, well.
Okay, they clean up this drop really nicely.
Man, that was rather sloppy by Polt.
Yeah, that's
That actually gives me the idea that Sen can hold this push off for now, because there are a lot of reinforcements streaming across the map, but they are not here yet. Sen has to, of course, be careful about all these Widow Mines, and 4 more Widow Mines are arriving in the party as well. Polt is going to burrow them. Don't get any hits off.
A couple here and there, nothing crazy. At this point, you want to run the Marauders up front. Okay, that's exactly what he's going to do, splitting the Marines off of creep. Standard way to take an engagement in TvZ, and this will allow him to clean up most of the Banelings. But like you said, he's actually done a pretty good job holding this so far. The supply getting scarily close. The Thor is up front now, though. He's trying to tank all the shots. He's trying to take it like a bro. He dies.
I can't believe that Sen is actually just holding this off. I really think Polt could have got much more value out of his drop, or he should have never dropped in the first place and just knock on the front door with 200 supply against 140 supply Sen. Like you said, now we're actually a lot closer in supply. He lost all those medevacts as well that were being chased down by these Mutalisks. Of course, and this is still not bad for Polt, don't get me wrong, but bit of mine. Oh, it's an okay shot off, I guess.
Yeah, he was looking for the dream shots there on all those Banelings. That's the ideal. Oh yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter how many lings there are. If there's no Banelings and you have 6 medevacs healing your army clumped up, like you're gonna kill a lot of lings, especially now that the upgrades are even.
This is of course very frustrating for Sen. He has to engage his army that's on the low ground. A couple of Marauders being annoying, picking up a Queen as well. There are a lot of Widow Mines over here, so Sen has to be very careful about how he wants to roll into this army. But Banelings seem to be getting relatively close to the majority of the bio forces over here from Polt. But you know, there is a Thor in the back of his army that's just hammering away, pushing out a lot of damage.
The Thor's wrecked all of the Mutalisks, and well, Kev, like I said, when it's just a bunch of lings, there's not really a whole lot that the Zerg player is going to be able to do.
Sen does pick up one of these stores. He has 7 more Mutalisks on the main. Sen has a massive economy. Unfortunately, he's just never really able to utilize it in a way that he can actually max out and take a fair fight. He has been taking fights while being down 20-30 army supply all along. Of course, the only thing that he has going for himself is that the reinforcements arrive a lot quicker. Polt has to walk all the way across the map on that wing, but when you're this far ahead, Nate, even I didn't know how many kills it was, but that was a lot of kills.
Yeah, well, I mean, the mines just add insult to injury at this point. Send down 60 supply. That Marine dies a horrible, painful death, but he will be avenged by his brothers pushing forward.
We saw what you did to Billy. Never again. We will stop this.
We know what you did last summer to Billy.
Stop using those chemical weapons. Those little things that blow up. We never want to see them again.
And most likely Polt will not see them again, at least not in this game, as GG is called, and Polt will win game number 1 off the back pretty much of that first push. I know this game went on for 10-12 minutes, and there were a couple of fights, and there was even one moment where it almost looked like Polt threw away his lead, quote to quote, but even when he was almost throwing away the lead, he was still up 30-40 supply, and he's still just pushing cross map that wing, and Sen had a lot of issues actually just completely killing it up. So when you're looking at the state of the game like that, you're just kind of rather hoping for an exciting game rather than that we truly believe that.
Polt is known for being one of those guys, by the way, that does builds like this. If there's one way we describe Polt's style, you know, we usually talk about upgrades versus economy versus army. Polt, he always gets a pretty good, some sort of army setup at the start of the game. He also does a pretty good job of getting his 3rd command center. Usually not the fastest, but he doesn't play 2-base that much. The upgrades are usually what's late for him. This game, it was true that his upgrades were super late, but he didn't respect that. That means he would have been able to make a push like that. Like you said, his Overlord saw 2 medevacs headed towards his base, and he just didn't respond.
I love Sen, but he's squeezing out that extra rotation of drones while he knows that he's about to get dropped, and he knows there are still 6 to 8 Hellions standing on creep as well. You know, that's just a little too much. Of course, if he would have somehow not taken damage of that, he would have been in an absolutely phenomenal position. He would have been up 20 workers.
Oh yeah, then
would have been able to go up to 4 bases, and he would be able to, you know, just ride that upgrade advantage that he was working on. But it was just a little too much. A few Banelings, a few Zerglings there wouldn't even slow him down all that much, and would have gave him, you know, a walk in the park dealing with that first drop. Or at least it wouldn't have been as devastating as it turned out to be. Over here on the right bottom side of Catalina, we have the man who now has to win 2 maps in a row. It is Sen. Of course, he is still the hope as well of Taiwan. He's had a lot of success in this country. Last year he was one of the very few non-Korean players that was able to win a Premier League tournament, and he did it in Taiwan.
Yeah.
But he's gonna have to beat this man twice. It's Captain America himself. It is Polt.
It's always cool to see how the players fare when they're participating in tournaments in their own region. I immediately think back to Jim playing at Intel Extreme Masters
Yeah, he
Shenzhen.
had a great run, man. He made it to the semi-finals.
Yeah, he became a god for that tournament.
I mean, most of the games were kind of ugly, but
Yeah, he played some pretty solid.
the PvP was really good. The quarterfinal PvP, that was a really good series. But other than that, it was a lot of 2 bases. I remember those games.
Well, you know,
We casted those games. Some
Hey.
of them.
you gotta give credit where credit is due.
No, it was a phenomenal run, and you don't get to the semi-finals on Intel Extreme Masters by being bad. And everybody knows that I love Jim, that I have a weak spot for Jim. But I also remember,
you just give him Jim tough love.
yeah, you know, I gotta sell. I gotta sell myself high price. I can't just give him that love without working for it. I remember a couple of those games were, you know, 10, 11 minute pushes. He did the Zealot Immortal thing against.
Yeah, those builds were pretty dank. I
Yeah,
won't lie.
Alright, yeah, let's take a look at what's happening, because sometimes I lean back in my chair and then I realize I don't see the entire bottom side of my screen. And before I know it, I would have missed an 11-11. I would have called the Muslim on Skype though. It's like, Ben, can you please go ahead and analyze this 11-11?
Well, he's gonna pull his SCVs and then he's gonna try to kill him. No, wait, no, he has a more posh accent.
Yeah.
Well, Rotterdam, he's going to pull his SCVs. It's difficult, man. He's a difficult one to emulate, actually.
I can only do it after I had a few drinks.
Yeah,
Sober me would
yeah,
never
after
try
a
to
few
imitate
drinks.
the Muslim. Anyways, Sen has gas on the way. Everything is looking very standard so far. It's a Reaper opening, right? Yes, there is a Reaper.
Yeah.
Marching his way.
Guess what? Guess what he's gonna do? If I get one chance to try to just say what Polt wants to do because of this map, I imagine he does that thing where you go for the quick medevac with like the 6-7 marine drop and the Hellion run by up front. That's what I want to see him do this game. That's what my hopes are built up for. As this Reaper pokes. Shouldn't get too much. Maybe a Link? Ooh, a Link.
As long as he doesn't get any drones, then it's okay for Sen. You know, losing a Link here and there, early phase in the game.
That's why you get the Links, to keep the drones safe. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because the drone will be mining, and those Zerglings, once they're out, they will never mine for you. So you rather lose the Zergling. Of course, same price.
So how do you? I had to ask, and I don't know. I guess as a Protoss, I'm not sure how you feel about this, but for TvZ, we're seeing with that trend where people just refuse to play on the new maps. Who vetoed Overgrowth that we get Catalina and Deadwing? Which one? It's got to be Polt.
Well,
It has to have been Polt.
But who says we can't see Overgrowth in map number 3?
How would you not have had it picked in the first 2
I mean,
if Catalina was an option? What Zerg in their right mind wants to play Catalina versus Terran?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Polt, I'm just thinking about this. And I feel like the new maps, people don't want to play on them. The new maps, it's not like you don't have experience on them, but compared to previous seasons, these maps are really different.
Yeah, of course.
So they're different enough that people are willing to, like, Polt probably plays a lot of ladder, and I imagine that's why he feels comfortable enough. I have to believe that Polt vetoed Overgrowth just so Sen would be uncomfortable.
Yeah, Polt has always been a ladder player, while Sen I can definitely see just playing a lot of custom games and stuff. Gets us around there on the Reaper, man. They gave him a real tight hog. He could feel the love. He was listening to that song by Phil Collins. Do you feel the love tonight? Or maybe that's not Phil Collins.
Well,
I have no idea who that was. But there is a song. Do you feel the
there
love tonight?
is a song. Oh, I believe you on that one.
These queens are gonna march forward, trying to get a creep out a little bit further. Ah, it's Elton John, that's correct. Well, Phil Collins, Elton John. I was basically spot on.
Who needs Shazam when you have a producer that can just tell you everything?
Alright, Roachwine finishes up. What is he gonna do, Nate? There are 3 Overlords about to hatch, and you don't just make 3 Overlords unless you're Roddy and play Zerg and you're bad at it. When Sen queues up 3 Overlords, I have the feeling he wants to make more than just a few Roaches.
Yeah, let's see what happens here.
He's gonna make a lot of Roaches. That's
a
gonna
lot
happen.
of roaches. Well, it's not necessarily bad, but okay, he has a 3rd base, so
Ah, he's making queens again. Are these just safety Roaches?
I imagine they have to be. He scouted it. He sent the. I don't know if he saw the armory, but he sent the overlords into his
Okay.
base.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I guess he was also queuing up an extra Overlord because he knew he was going to lose that first Overlord that was being sacked in the main. And then he lost Overlord number 2 because the Viking was going to chase
This
it.
is so dirty of Polt, by the way. He's doing the build that I was talking about, except he's added that armory in just to be more of a pain in the ass for Sen, because those roaches are now going to have to kite the Hellbats, whereas these Marines and the Medevac are going to be free to do damage once again.
We've been talking about this, Nate. We gotta give credit where credit is due. That was a good call by you. 5 seconds into the game, he already said that he was pretty much going to do this build. But he does have the armory.
Yeah, that's a nice little twist, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes you just like to be surprised. And I'm feeling
I mean, if Sen has a good idea that there's going to be some action in his main base as well, I don't think he will take all that much damage. I think 2 roaches and a queen should be enough to deal with this, but just the queen alone, that's where it already starts to get a little bit
now
painful.
that the queen's dead, he can just pick up and drop and micro all around. He can dance all day. And those Hellbats are going to push in towards the third base. The third base totally exposed. Well, okay, he left some of the roaches there, but that means these Marines can do more. And Hellbats!
He needs to spread his roaches out a little bit. You can't just keep them all 5 together like that. I do like how these roaches pop over here. I think he did it on purpose.
Oh my god, that Hellbat splash though.
That's good play there by Sen. Now, these extra roaches will be enough to clean up these Hellbats. Let's take a look at what's happening in the main base. Like you said, this Medevac is going to be annoying forever because that queen got picked off. There were absolutely 0 units to defend that queen. You know what they say, Nate? A king always has his queen back. This queen had no king.
The king is the most useless piece on the board. How does the king have the queen's back?
No, you have to protect your woman.
Yeah, okay, I understand that, but the king is totally useless.
No, we're not talking about chessy.
Okay.
Talking
We're just talking about things that make sense.
Yeah, like the Lion King, for instance. Like a Lion King would have a queen's back.
Okay. But what he done?
No, I'm not talking about the action. Damn it, Nate. You're awful.
1-1 starts up for Sen.
This is why you're still single. There are all these women out there. They're Nate, protect me, and you're like, why? Why? I'm the king. I don't need to protect you. All they want, Nate, is some sweet love and affection, and you just don't get it.
Rip the dream.
Anyway, so, you know, in the end, that wasn't all that bad for Sen. He's still on 65 drones. He lost 13 drones, but it's also a very aggressive opening by Polt, so it takes a while before Polt's production and economy truly kicks in. It's a lot of... Man, Polt was paranoid as hell about a roadshow.
I like it anyway, though. Like, this is something that Polt has kind of been known for, and a lot of his other builds, he either always opens with a Marauder, or he actually just builds a bunch of Marauders, and if there's no roaches, he does like this quick drop play, which is also quite cute. So Spire and Baneling Nest, these are actually very, very late relative to the Stim and the Medevac production of Polt. Polt could actually push right now, and I don't think Sen could do anything without... I think Sen would just die if Polt pushed like right now.
He's making 13 more drones. He's basically going up to 84 workers. Of course, he's going to lose a few to extractors and maybe a static E here and there, but that is an insane amount of drones. That's not something that Polt knows. So I agree with you, the Baneling Nest and Spire is late. But as soon as he decides to start using it, he's going to have a better economy than you normally have.
Yeah, well, with the amount of resources he has saved up.
Yeah, and
thankfully for him, he doesn't have a Spire, so he should be triggered to just bake a bunch of Banelings. If Polt had pushed like 30, 40 seconds ago, I think he potentially just kills Sen.
Sen actually has an insane economy. He's 89 workers right now. He's up 27 workers or 26 was. A couple scans go down. Of course, for us, it's very easy to say like, Polt, attack, attack, attack. Polt doesn't have the vision that we have. So he's going to be careful. He will throw down a scan or two, wants to make sure he doesn't lose his army to a couple Banelings. And Sen is like, this is insane, man. I actually got away with making 89 drones. Life's good.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. And Custom Shell is even on the way to help the Marauders be a little bit more annoying. The Polt Viking! No!
Rip. Couple of Mutalisks are on the way right now. Look at how Polt sets his couple Widow Mines so defensive
this
already.
Covers flanks.
Yeah.
A lot of Zerg players will try to run Banelings to the side.
But he truly has no idea about how late all these units were for Sen. Sen actually barely had any units all along. I don't think he has roach speed. Right now he does have roach speed, so that's something. There's no Baneling speed though, as you guys can see these Banelings
With no Baneling speed, I think Polt should try to move some of his units, the Widow Mines to the front.
Oh no, actually there's a drop going on over here as well on the right side, but there was one spine crawler that bought a little bit of time for it. Polt's going to be annoyed. Oh, I hate when this happens, but there are plenty of units over here for Sen to deal with it. Sen is in a good position, man. He is richer than God right now. He has more YouTube money than Total Biscuit.
I mean, you're pushing it. But he's quite wealthy, that's for sure.
82 drones.
2-2 is going to finish maybe 20-30 seconds ahead for Polt. I don't feel that's significant. Widow mine production, drilling claws, no Thors in the map, right? So I guess the muted count's not that high, just 10.
1-1 is ready. 2-2 is on. 2-2 is almost done. I mean, it will all come down to
The
engagements, of course,
problem-
but Sen's
so-
army should be strong enough.
Here's the problem. As good as Sen's army is, we're going to start to see right there the Widow mines. There's not enough Mutalisk control presence.
I would
for him
counter
to
it.
kill.
I would
He has
almost
to pick the
counter
mines
attack.
up. He can't pick off the Widow mines, so he's going to force him to fight into here. And this spread is actually really good from Polt. I feel this is a superior position for Polt as far as the engagement.
I mean, Polt was down 20 supply, now we're kind of even. A couple of banelings do get relatively good hits over there, though. There are a few Marines still on the north side, but I think in the end this was good enough for Sen. There are still Widow mines, and these Widow mines are annoying, but in the end I feel that went good for Sen, because I agree with you. It was a very, very difficult position to attack in, but he made the best of it. He triggered a couple of mines to detonate before the fight started, and then he's like, alright, I know you still have a few mines here and there, but I gotta go right now.
What's most impressive is that Sen has squeezed out a hive. It's on the way now, and this is something that you typically don't see too quickly. Polt starting up his 3-3. Sen will still be behind in upgrades because of that, but you know, most Zergs don't actually have a reach.
Oh, Polt's not paying attention over here. Loses a couple of...
Ooh,
oh, well,
whoa.
that Widow mine made up for it, though.
Yeah, those mines just got some gnarly hits. Managed to save Thor 2, retreating back. Questions now in my mind. Polt, 4th base. He has the command center done, has not yet moved it over.
It's so rich. I mean, well, he's relatively rich. He's been using a lot of gas, so gas-wise he's not extremely rich, but he has a lot of minerals and he's had an absolutely insane amount of income over the last few minutes in this game. Polt is still just trying to find an opening, but Sen has been doing a really good job in just surviving, stabilizing, and like you said, even squeezing out that hive tag. Normally, you know, it's 3-3 against 2-2 forever. That's not going to be the case. Good job there by Polt retreating those Marines and letting the Marauders soak up all these banelings. Sen really needs a couple of units, Nate, and he needs them right here and right now.
Yep, Polt's focus at this time should be to just hold this position, let the creep recede to the 3rd, and then just set up the ultimate contain. Because of the planetary fortress at the 4th, with the missile turrets, the Widow mines, and Thors being built back home, Polt has what he needs to defend against most counterattacks and run-bys, especially considering how much damage he's already done. These Widow mines detonating freely, not ideal, but you gotta be careful fighting with this creep still here.
Those banelings got reasonable connections of actually.
Yeah.
Took down quite a few Marines and did a little bit of damage to a couple of these Marauders and above all the Thors as well. Of course the Marauders will just get healed up, but doing some damage on the Thors while also killing Marines, then it's not too bad if you use your Banes on it, as long as you get some Marines with it as well.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you in that situation. He really needs to make sure that these units everything that isn't a Marine should be up front before every fight. Like having 3 Thors, it's not just about, oh, is he going to run into them.
I really like it if Sen starts counterattacking, because he's going to buy time for his own 3-3 to finish
Kane,
as well.
man. This is what Kane did against Polt in WCS qualifier.
On merry-go-round. After he was sort of semi-contained in the middle of the map with all these Widow mines there. Of course, Catalina is a lot bigger, so it's going to be a lot easier for Sen to just run around, buy time. Maybe drop an Ultralisk Cavern in the near future. I wouldn't mind it at all.
No, that's got to be the big focus on tech right now. This drop hitting the right side. Not going to accomplish too much. We'll get snapped up. Maybe he's going to be able to unload a few Marines, but I don't think it's going to do anything. He's really just trying to buy position for that left side.
No, this guy jumped the ship, man, and he's going to survive. A couple of banelings again rolling forward. This one Thor that's so close to dying, but didn't die in the end. I love how this guy's still alive. He just jumped. He's like, man, see you guys, I'm out of here. They're like a bunch of Mutalisks on a tail. We are all going to die.
It's a decor.
And now Private Ryan is behind enemy lines, and will probably never get caught.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to be one man that gets saved.
Playing with fire over there.
Oh,
Sen.
he's shooting. Oh no, Private Ryan's dead. Rip.
Our prisoner of war went insane.
Dun, dun, dun.
Tried to escape. If you're a POW, you're gonna stay a POW in this game.
Yeah.
Don't try to go all Rambo and win the game by yourself.
Building armor is on the way, as well as high-sec auto-tracking. So, those missile turrets, planetary fortress, gonna get a little bit more buff. Quite a bit more buff. And Polt continuing to press forward. He really needs some good Widow Mine hits. Sen has not been
careful with those Baymanes.
Sen has been pretty good at preventing the Widow Mine from actually hitting anything useful. But these Thors now, man, they're basically becoming a brick wall trying to run through.
I mean, we do have this big army in the north side of the map over here for Sen, and that's definitely an army that I think Polt is slightly worried about as well. He's like, man, okay, well, if you have all that there, then I'm just going to push the issue over here. But of course, he still has to be careful, because there are quite a few Banelings around. Take a look at the Baneling count. We have 37 Banelings currently on the map. He's going to try to not let them blow up on the doors and just roll through it. Try to get some connections on these Marines. Banelings coming in from behind as well. This is a beautiful engagement
but
for Sen.
the Thor is getting some pretty sweet shots off on the Mutas. He manages to clean them up from behind with the Lings. A surprisingly effective engagement. I didn't see those forces from the southeast hit in for Sen, and now Polt. Losing his medevacs would really hurt him. He's significantly down on supply, and Sen, he's close to maxing while still having a ginormous bank. He's going to build Ultralisks, and he's already ready to transition into Broodlords behind it.
Yep, units lost resource step. Sen has lost 4,000 more, or let's say 3,500 more than Polt. But he's also been outmining Polt severely for the majority of this game. Like we said before, over and over again, he went up to like 89 or 90 drones, and he just never really took any economic damage. None of the drops from Polt were able to find an opening, and that's definitely something we have to applaud Sen for, because that's not easy. Normally there's always one moment where a medevac will catch you off guard on a map like Catalina, and you end up losing 10-15 workers. Just did not happen this time.
I'm really, really worried for Polt now. The Broodlord transition is going to make things a living hell for him, especially considering with the number of medevacs that they killed in this game. Army chasing back. He sees the Ultralisk.
Oh my god, it's so low
It's
HP.
a one hit point medevac. No.
Oh, that Widowmine saved the day in a weird way.
You could have lost like 400 hit points of Thor for the 3 health on that medevac.
Alright, Polt's gonna try one more time to find an opening over here on the right side. There's this creep everywhere. He doesn't know about this hatch. But again, he's like, oh man, seriously, that's just enough. Really well done by Sen. I love how he doesn't have like a massive army sitting over
Polt
here.
doesn't know about the Broodlords. 7 Broodlords are about to finish. I think that's game over. Once these Broods are done, this game is over. They're GG Lords,
Yep,
man.
I was about to say, taking the words out of my mouth, Nate. The way we used to call them, not very often anymore, because you know, it just doesn't really roll that way anymore. But they used to be called the GG Lords, and
it's not over. Polt, the thing is, Polt can run his army around, you know, not trying to be a super Debbie Downer and just immediately throw up some starports, but he cannot engage this army anymore. His whole focus has to be about just avoiding these Broodlords as long as possible.
Man, these Widowmines, they got very close to getting a couple of dream hits off here and there, but a few times just getting the Zerglings rather than the Banelings. Because imagine if all those Banelings get blown up, I think he can stim forward and just kill.
Really important to know that the Mutalisks still being alive provide the best cover against these, because the Vikings don't do bonus damage versus them, and of course Mutalisks have utility elsewhere. But Polt, the best thing you can do in this situation is just drop everywhere. Let this, repair this planetary until the end of time if possible. Oh wow, Banelings ripped.
Oh my god, got a couple of really big hits off.
Yeah, killing that off was really nice. Oh, the Widowmine's detonating them. No, don't kill yourself.
That's of course the annoying thing as well. Widowmines, they're still pretty awesome, but Broodlings really mess the AI up, and obviously you don't want to have Broodlings on top of your bio units while Widowmines are blowing it up, because you will lose a lot of your own forces.
This is a really, really awkward spot to be in. Polt
I like this
running over to the right side with a large army. That's the only way that you can win this now.
I mean, he did throw up the extra starports. I didn't actually click
Yeah,
on
he's
them,
at 3. He's at 3 starports at the moment.
This is starport number 2 and 3, and he's still trying to make some magic happen over here on the right side. Couple of Banelings, complicating things even further for Polt. Gets pushed in this very awkward position. Oh my god, these Mutas are going to chase down these medevacs for days. At the same time, the Polt is really playing at God's speed, Nate. Now suddenly he's over here as well with a bunch of bio units. He's pulling Sen apart. Sen is still in a good position, don't get me wrong, but Polt is really making the best of an almost impossible scenario. And now he's actually pulling ahead in supply. He's picking off a lot of drones over here as well on the right up side of the map.
Sen being a bit careless with his forces there. Now, he still has a very strong army. The Polt getting up to 6 Vikings at the moment. I still don't think that's enough with this many Mutalisks on the map.
Yeah, but if these Broodlords will just start running around and chasing armies defensively, then there's actually a chance. All of these Marines being unloaded as well. These Marines are putting up a pretty good fight against the Mutalisks. Eventually the Mutas will win, but Nate, I have to ask you the question, at what cost?
Pretty high one. Polt hitting that right hatchery on pretty hard. Just Zerglings actually wrecks those.
Banelings though, is he paying attention to the... Oh my yes, man, Polt's been playing phenomenal in the last 2 minutes of this game.
Polt just flipped a switch, man.
Yeah, Polt is like, alright, you're giving me a challenge? Alright, God mode activated. I wonder how he does it. If he like pinches his army, he's like, oh, I didn't want to use my superpowers just yet, but I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're Polt at this point, he's probably just like he always has the kryptonite on him to keep him weak, and he just took it off, man. Now he's back to normal.
Alright, he did end up losing those 8 or so Marines that were split over these 2 medevacs to a couple of banings on the right side. We mentioned a couple of times, Sen has had an insane bank, so he's still in a good position, and Sen too has played a great game, but the moment Polt starts throwing down command centers and planetary fortresses everywhere, that's normally when I start really digging his position. Ooh, 33 banings as well, but if he blows up everything over here, do we have enough Mutalisks left? He lost a lot of, 16 Mutalisks in there.
Yeah, well, the Mutas are going to come in and help dive on this planetary. That building armor really helping it stay alive, though. Chewing up just a few more seconds of time.
I just felt that he lost too many Vikings there, and he doesn't have the Viking number that he needs in the first place.
He only has 4 more on the way.
Okay.
Polt snipes another base in the top right. He needs to move straight towards that southeast base. Like, the only way to beat Broodlords when you don't have the Viking count to actually kill them normally is just avoid them forever. Just run around forever and ever and ever. Ride the merry-go-round.
Ring around the rosy. There's one happy little ultra here that's going to try to take care of this entire drop, and I don't think that's going to be the case. Well, these Brooklings are actually helping out quite a bit. Eventually this ultra will go down. Where are all those banelings that he had? He had a lot of banelings. He lost like 15 or so banelings, Nate. I don't know to what.
I don't see any mines at
No.
the top of that ramp.
There were no mines. There was one mine over there. I don't think this mine got it.
That's asking for a lot. So the Broodlords are actually starting to die now, but there's still some banelings here with this ultra, and the Mutalisks are the really big problem now.
Well, there's still a lot of...
He's about to get on top of Polt's production. He needs to raise his deep.
Yep,
Oh, the
definitely.
Marines ran into the banelings.
well, there's one Marauder is soaking up as well. It's only like 10 or so banelings left and a low
but
HP
these-
ultra.
There's so many Mutalisks here. Okay, coming up, the missile turret's gonna try to buy some time.
I don't
There's
know, man.
gonna
I've seen Polt win crazier games than this, Nate.
Yeah, Polt.
I have seen him win crazier games than this.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we've seen.
All right, use that
Oh
Widow
man,
Mine.
that Ultras got wrecked.
He needs to use his Widow Mine. This other Widow Mine
Oh!
gets a big shot off. All these Mutalisks got low on HP now. I don't think that Zerglings are going to cut it over
The
here.
Vikings getting these
Polt
last
is
hits
doing
on-
it.
I don't believe it.
Polt is actually going to do this, Nate.
That's
He has done so much economic damage around the map. There are planetary fortresses everywhere. I have no idea how Polt was just able to survive for so long, run around, ring
that
around the
was
rosy.
sick. That was sick, man. The Widow Mine's got some fantastic hits in those final moments, or just before. He actually picked up an Ultras that was trying to reinforce with the Widow Mines.
Wow, Polt is
And he
so...
still keeps his fourth base. Third base is, it's like, oh no, you killed it, but there's actually no resources there.
I mean, Sen still has a mining base over here on the right side. This base has absolutely no minerals left, so this one is actually pretty damn important. There's few bio units were protecting it on the high ground. Army supply 36 against 76. Polt, you're a madman.
Yeah, this is insane. Polt's gonna try to out these forces. Now queuing up a good
Polt
amount
made
of
so
Marines.
good for those last few minutes. That's
He
absolutely-
has had an absurd amount of energy on most of his orbitals for a while, so the Mule Hammer is strong with this one.
Yeah, well, look at this army. I don't think that Sen has an answer to this army anymore.
Nah, Polt, man.
Wow.
Just barely holding on at the end of that fight, and he reaps the reward of what seems to be, right now, very close to a 2-0 victory.
Sen had everything, Nate. He had money, he had 3-3 upgrades, he had Ultralisk, he had Banelings, he had Mutalisk, he had Broodlords. GG Lords even, we call them. And they kind of were, because there was absolutely no answer to them. There
Yeah,
was
but
no
Polt just-
economy
Polt
to
just
answer
avoided
them.
He forced the Broodlords to run around.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. It's very difficult to successfully pull that off, but that's why Polt is Polt. That's why he's a champion.
Of not just 1 or 2 or 3 events, but many. I think he's won 7 or so StarCraft 2 events.
Something like that.
6, 7, definitely won a lot. And Sen, of course, is going to still try to find something. Try to find an exposed mineral line somewhere, but nope, not today. 5 Mutalisks with nothing to cut it. Like, I think this fight was really deadly as well, where he lost like 6 or 7 Mutalisks fighting a bunch of Marines. I don't think that was worth it. And he could have kind of used those Mutalisks in the big push, but I really thought he was going to run over Polt. I would have been lying if I said I didn't think that Sen had that game in the bag.
Yeah, Polt just coming back with those drop plays. Really, really nice. Ultras and Banelings trying to do something, but there's so many Marauders here. GG. Sen taps out. Polt dropping all over the place. He'll take the 2-0, eliminating Sen from the tournament, and moving on to face the loser of the winners match.
That was just awesome. We said it. It's kind of like he just turned on a switch, and I love as well because we mentioned the drops. He did look for openings throughout you know, the first 20 minutes of this game. He was continuously looking for openings, send a medevac here, send a medevac there. And I even applauded Sen for always having, you know, let's say a handful of Zerglings and then 2 or 3 Banelings. Just making it difficult enough for Polt to not be able to do any damage there, and that even has to pay attention, otherwise 2 Banelings roll in and they just kill that drop, and that's the end of the drop. But Polt was so persistent in looking for openings, and then eventually he really started babysitting his drops, flew in and out, never made it easy for Sen to just clean up a drop. It's like, no, if you want to clean it up, you're actually going to have to chase this all the way to the right up side of the map, and the moment you shift your focus back to, let's say,
yeah, he has this another army just running out of nowhere and killing the third base.
Awesome
really
game.
Well done.
Yeah, Polt really stepped it up. Well, you know, we said you questioned Polt's shape.
I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, to be fair,
I mean, it wasn't flawless.
Okay, if Polt is in that position and the map is overgrowth, I think Polt's screwed. If you have Broodlords or something like that, Catalina has so much space and is so good for drops. Like, Broodlords are actually terrible on that map for the same reason that Broodlords are bad on, like, what's a similar type of map? Even Altazim Stronghold. Altazim, Deadwing, just there's so much space that the Broodlords have to move across. Like, on a smaller map, Broodlords are better because they can just zone things out. But yeah, really good play by Polt. Otherwise,
yeah, that was awesome. The last few minutes, or let's say the last 10 minutes of the game, up to that point, it was just a cool PvZ, or where it was actually ZVT, excuse me, where it was really impressive that Sen was able to get away with the greed that he went for. Just insane. That was basically Liquid Red 2010. You know, Zerg style.
Yeah, he just built drones.
Where he just went up to like 90 drones, the way that Red used to do it. When he won the European BattleNet Invitational, that was in 2010, no, 2011 actually, I think. Was it? No, it was 2011.
Something like that.
It was a long time ago, but I remember Red just going up to 90 drones every single game, and everyone's like, how do you deal with this? Those were the good old days. Awesome play though by Polt. That was very, how would you say that, elevating to watch, you know? It's just like you watch it and you can't really believe it, and then suddenly you realize the acceptance sunk in, and I was like, he's actually making it happen, Nate.
That was really well done. Really well done. He will face off against Hyun in the Deciders match.
That is an old team kill as well, of course, once upon a time. Both those players were representing TSL.
Yeah. Bunch good old TSL family reunion, and they've had quite an interesting history playing against each other multiple times in not only all tournaments, but WCS America. Immediately brings me back to the Roach Fest that happened between them before Hyun was wrecked by Pig Baby, I believe, was it season 2? Life is hard.
They've played against each other quite a few times. We're gonna head over to a very small break, because that was a pretty long game, and after that we'll be back with the Decide. No,
I think the main stream.
Yeah, the mainstream is actually.
So we're going to be gone for a little bit again.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
Yep. For this channel for now, sorry guys, I was getting really into it. I was like, yeah, Hyun versus Polt, and then I realized, like, no, we have 2 streams. We are not actually in Taipei, Nate. We're in Southern California. So what is going to happen now is that we are going to have a 1-hour break on this stream. You want to switch over, if you didn't do that yet, or you don't have both streams open, to the main stream. So that's the same channel, just minus the B, twitch.tv/ESLTV_SC2. That's where you will be able to watch Polt versus Hyun. It's going to be a cracker, all right. And we are just going to take a break. We'll be in chatting with you guys. And after that, we'll be back with Group B action. So stay tuned. You're watching the Intel Extreme Masters Taipei Day 2.